Friends, please note that now in the Uttarakhand Lokayukt Bill 2011, which is Lokpal for the states, the Lokayukt has been given powers to punish for contempt, so that even if Lokayukt becomes agents of multinationals and anyone writes or tells about this, the Lokayukt can imprison that person for 6 months. Now let us talk about the most important danger Indians are facing and which most activist leaders are ignoring it. If I ask about five most important dangers India is facing, one would say terrorism or nationalism or poverty or corruption or worsening of education, etc. These dangers are certainly worth putting in top 5. Some subjectivity might be there, but most citizens are ignorant of the biggest danger India is facing, which is weakening of Indian military and that it can result into Iraqification of India or liberation of India, that is re-enslavement of India by the West. Most Indian newspaper owners, TV channel owners and eminent intellectuals have financial links with multinationals, etc. And so they have agreed not to highlight the problem that Indian military is worsening day by day. But Indian military is now so weak that West China can dismantle it within months the day they decide to attack India. And so we have only few years before the West China decide to re-enslave India. The West China may not attack directly but will provide funds, weapons and satellite information to Pakistan's military and unleash a genocide in India. Or West China will give weapons to Naxalites and ask them to destroy Indian military, which is what happened in Nepal. And unless we improve our military in a few years, India may become an Iraq. Now improving military and making it at par with US is easy once a few good laws are passed. But enacting those laws need activist time. But if activists choose not to spend time in enacting these laws, then I see no way to improve Indian military. And thinking that multinationals and foreign companies will never enslave the country is a big blunder. Their main aim is not to do trade here, but to make the country dependent and then eventually when the defense of the country is weak, to make the country their puppets like Philippines or the slaves like Iraq and loot 99% of the country, and the rich pro-MNC people will be the first to be looted. A different point, let me explain why lower scale corruption benefits small medium businessmen over multinational companies. Say a person in some city like Ahmedabad or Delhi owns 5 to 10 restaurants. Say he wants to open one more and local officers ask for bribes of say 5 lakhs. So he pays the bribes. Now consider multinational executives sitting in New York wanting to open one more restaurant. Say local officers want rupees 5 lakhs of bribes. Now multinational executive can't directly deal with local officer but will need to hire some middleman. So the middleman will say that the officers are asking for rupees 50 lakhs. The multinational executive in New York has no way to know that and ends up paying 10 times more than what local guy would have had to pay. Same way, small medium businesses are capable of evading sales, excise, etc. taxes because of local corruption, and multinationals end up spending 5 to 10 times more due to excessive cuts of middlemen they have to keep. Now if RTR, right to recall Lokpal clauses and transparent complaint procedure clauses are not there in Lokpal bill, then Lokpal will take bribes from corporates, foreign companies or anyone else who gives more money and will deposit it in foreign secret bank and become agents of multinational and will destroy honest government officials and small medium businessmen, that is they will kill Swadeshi and sell the country to foreign companies. The country will be enslaved and 99% of the people will be looted. How they will destroy small medium businesses? Since the multinational and local businesses are competitors, the multinational companies will ask the Lokpal, who have jurisdiction over lower level government officials, to ask the license officer or tax officer to harass the local businessmen by asking high bribes or high punishment for trivial lapses. If the lower government officials comply, then fine. But if they do not comply, false investigation can be put on the honest government officials. This will suppress the local businesses no end, so that the local businesses will close down eventually or sell out to the multinationals. The media, which is MNC sponsored mostly, is promoting Jan Lokpal without right to recall Lokpal by citizens. Why? Because Jan Lokpal without right to recall Lokpal clauses will allow the multinationals to bribe only 11 people. Instead of thousands of lower government officials they have to bribe today. The 11 Lokpals will, as agent of multinationals, after taking bribes from them, They can put false investigations and destroy their career and life, just like life of Banjara, ex-SP of Gujarat, was destroyed since is facing more than 5 year investigation and is in jail since 5 years. And thus the Lokpal can force the lower government officials to favor the MNCs and harass their opponents, the local businessmen. ISC Apex says that if Lokpal is corrupt, Supreme Court judges will expel him. Well, we have already that law that if MP is corrupt, High Court judges or Supreme Court judges can imprison them and they will be expelled, for which they do not need permission of anyone. But we see always that High Court judges never prosecute corrupt MPs and let them walk away. So this provision that Supreme Court judges will punish corrupt Lokpals is as useless as existing procedure that High Court judges will imprison corrupt MPs provision. That is why we must demand Jan Lokpal with right to recall corrupt Lokpal clauses. What we need to see is that Jan Lokpal with no right to recall corrupt Lokpal is a poison if Lokpals become multinational agents and missionary agents. And if we think they won't become multinational agents, well, multinationals will bribe the 20 persons in search selection committee and multinationals will make sure that only their puppets becomes Lokpal. Now if there is right to recall Lokpal, the Lokpal will deter from taking pro-multinational in anti-India steps. But if there is not any right to recall Lokpal, Lokpals will gladly sell India away to multinationals and missionaries. So the decision to oppose Jan Lokpal with right to recall Lokpal was just a mistake till now. Because you are not aware of the possibility that multinationals can plant their men or buy Lokpals out. Now you are aware of that possibility. If we still oppose RTR Lokpal clauses, we are only committing treason or disloyalty towards the country. Dear ISC activists, Shanti Bhushan says that 50% of the Supreme Court judges are corrupt. Let's say one of the Lokpal was honest and he exposed corruption in Supreme Court judges. Using power Supreme Court judges have in Lokpal draft, say Supreme Court judges expel him. Now do you have any procedure by which the citizens can bring that honest Lokpal back? No. The proposed right to recall Jan Lokpal does that. It enables citizens to bring that honest Lokpal. So please support Jan Lokpal with right to retain honest Jan Lokpal clauses. If we read clause number 8 of right to recall Lokpal, it says the citizens may use this procedure to retain or bring back a Lokpal member who was expelled, but citizens wanted him to continue. Hence, this section may also be referred to as right to retain Lokpal. Nowadays, there is lot of talk about right to reject, but the media or ISC Apex never tells this that this right to reject is only a button for none of the above, to be used every 5 years. This is not even 1% useful, as those who hate the Congress will give their votes to opposition party like BJP and vice versa, and not even 1% will use the none of the above button. We have proposed a procedure for right to reject any day by citizens. The selection committee appoints 10 Lokpals and the right to recall Lokpal edition would make 1 out of 10 Lokpals replaceable by citizens. A similar procedure in which citizens can register no can be used as right to reject Lokpal any day by citizens. Let us take some questions now. First question, will crores of citizens approve a Lokpal candidate? Answer is, it depends on how bad the present Lokpals are and how good the alternative is. Some 60% to 75% citizens do vote in Lok Sabha and Assembly elections, even though they have no hopes in any of the alternatives. This shows that citizens do take initiatives to bring changes. So if alternate candidate is promising and existing Lokpals are corrupt, then citizens will take initiatives to bring changes. Second question, right to recall should be confined to educated countries like USA and not used in India. Answer is that USA has better education because citizens have right to recall district education officer. We do not have right to recall district education officer, and so because of corruption, education funds vanish and so most citizens are still uneducated. When right to recall procedures were introduced in America in 1830s, the education level was very low and increased only with right to recall DEO, district education officer, and other right to recall procedures.